Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Israeli jazz pianist and composer Guy Mintus. We talked to him in May 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown about his latest 2019 CD, Dalb. This Israeli musician is a true citizen of the world, coming from a mixed heritage of Iraqi, Moroccan, and Polish Jews. He is based in Tel Aviv and New York, and he's constantly on the go. He's performed in Brazil, India, Bulgaria, Switzerland, France, Germany, and so many cities in the U.S. and Canada. Things have changed quite a bit these days, but music is always there and always will be. Enjoy.
Hey, thanks for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out. It's so cool what you do.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know, I'm curious from you, when did you realize, was it mid-March or before, that we were getting ready to go into this world of no live jazz?
I think it was, let's see. So I had like a big show I was preparing towards with strings. Like the first time my trio played all of our music with a string quartet that also improvises. So it was like a long process. They weren't just reading, they were really like improvising with us. So we prepared a lot for it. And then it was on March 18. And so that show being canceled, and like we tried to still get together and do like film a song out of the concert or just do something. And it kept getting canceled because each day the instructions became more and more strict. Like at the beginning it was 100 people, then 50 people, then 10 people, and then just nothing. Just stay at home no matter what. So, by the time that instructions came in, then I realized, okay, I really have to kind of switch the button and go into full-on quarantine mode and start from scratch in a different direction.
Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and how jazz became a part of your life.
Well, my parents aren't musicians, but there was always all kinds of music at the house. They're very open musically. And so when I was about, I think, maybe 12, I was already studying a little bit to play the keyboard, and I was playing Around Midnight by Monk, but not really playing it like you would think. It was out of an arrangement for a piano beginner student. Like it was in A minor with no flats, no sharps instead of E flat minor. And then I just knew that piece, and I knew that there was someone called Monk. And then I was one day with my father at a record shop, and I saw there was a jazz section, and I knew about this one person called Monk and about this one song called Around Midnight. So I thought I'll just search for all the records that have that song on them, Around Midnight, because that's the only thing I knew. And I ended up with a pretty big pile of records, because there are a lot of records with that song. So all of a sudden I had Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, Coltrane, Dexter Gordon, and of course Monk, Bill Evans, and of course Monk. I took a solo album of his. That's what they had, Thelonious himself. And that was groundbreaking. And that's where I got connected with jazz and with the idea of improvising and expressing yourself like that through the music. It was really a huge revelation for me, and I fell in love.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Kind of Blue was that way for me. In fact, I was the other day kind of lamenting. I was fortunate to talk to Jimmy Cobb in 2014, and you talk about a legacy right there,
Wow. Yeah, man.
So let me ask you this. I've always heard such good things about Israel, musicians coming to America, and just a lot of jazz happening in Israel. Talk to me about the scene and what's going on and how you stay busy.
The scene in Israel is great thanks to, first of all, great teachers. Like my teacher was Amit Golan, who unfortunately passed away quite young, but he, in not so long life, he managed to really raise up so many musicians that you probably heard about. And actually, thanks to him, I met Jimmy Cobb, because they brought Mr. Cobb to Israel to play part of a jazz series. I got to play one song with him. So it was really connecting us to the roots of the music, like, taking you back to like study stride, study all, Bud Powell, study to introduce me to, Art Tatum, Wynton Kelly, all these musicians that maybe a lot of people start to study jazz and they hear about Chick Corea and Brad Meldo and Herbie, but they don't necessarily know who's Horace Silver or who's Red Garland, And Amit was really about connecting us to the roots as much as possible. So yeah, I think that's part of it. Like that's a big reason. Also, there's a high school called Terme Elin that I went to. That's also a lot of the musicians, Avishai Cohen, Anat Cohen, all the family, basically Eli the Ghibli. A lot of people went to school there. And so there's becoming a great scene. I was studying in New York and then living in New York part of the time because I started traveling a lot after school. And recently I'm spending more and more time in Israel, like coming back very often and staying between tours and doing more projects here. And it's a lot of fun to combine it. So I don't know exactly what it's like to live here full time. But yeah, I hope it answers the question.
Oh, it sure did. Yeah. What was the first live jazz show you ever saw that made you think that was something you want to do with your life?
I think I did. I don't remember the first one because I don't think I enjoyed the first one as much. I think it for like listening to it like hearing Monk and hearing Miles Davis, that was completely magical. But I don't remember like the first show I went to that. I think like the shows, like seeing it live was more like it was like a process to really get into it and like I don't know if I necessarily saw a show but I remember one of the first shows I saw that like I will never forget. It was of Johnny Griffin. He came to Israel and that was unbelievable. Really unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the first one, but it was one of the first ones. So I think that the magic of that show was really something to me.
Yeah. So when you did play in America the first time, obviously it's a big deal. I know overseas when people come to America because there's so much lore, especially New York City. What was it like? Did you have to pinch yourself? How were you feeling?
The first time, I came to New York. I came to the Manhattan School of Music, and I was lucky to have a full scholarship. I wanted to study, but I wanted more than that. To be in New York and like you said, to play this music, it was a big deal for me to just do this, to live this life. And I was so hungry for it that I think in maybe the first month of me living in New York, I noticed that an Italian restaurant next to the school had an old piano in it, and so I just sat down and I started playing. And then after like I finished the song, people started clapping, and then I realized, okay, there's something nice. And I had this kind of a deal, with the owner that I play. I get a free, huge margarita pizza and a Coca-Cola. I play a few songs. I have lunch. That works.
Yeah, it does.
And that was lovely for me. I was, wow, that's amazing. And one day there was Rodney Jones was there, the guitar player from Juilliard, just out of nowhere, and like we started talking, and so it's really interesting how, but that wasn't necessarily the first gig, but it was, you just do it, and then you go out to the clubs and like stay. I was kind of, a protege of Johnny O'Neill. He really took me under his wing for like 2 years. I was going to almost all of his shows and like sitting in and accompanying him or playing a tune with the trio. That taught me a lot.
I
see how he, leads the band and talks to the audience and engages so well everybody, and how he chooses the songs, and just how he plays, of course, and all the stories he has to tell. So like I was hanging around with him, and then people started hiring me by out of that, hearing me play with Johnny. They they need a pianist, so okay. And I was like, I was ready to go and play anywhere. You know, I had to bring a keyboard. I'll bring a keyboard. I'll go to Brooklyn, super far. I'll do it for $50. I didn't care. I just wanted to play the music and to play as much as possible. And then it came to a point where I was playing, you know, 3-4 times a week, sometimes even more, sometimes even twice a night. All kinds of small gigs, like sometimes in a restaurant, sometimes in a club, starting like the late night set, starting at, you know, midnight. But I was so happy to do it for the first period.
Well,
of living in New York.
Yeah, well, you clearly love jazz, and you're doing it for all of the reasons that anybody is a musician. And I want to know from you, what do you like the best about being a musician?
I honestly, I love everything about it. I just love the music. That's the best part, like to actually play music and express yourself and, like, you know, share the gift of music with people and be able to, like, make a real difference, you know, in their lives through it, because the music is really, really, really powerful thing. And we are messengers of that music. For me, it's not even necessarily just jazz. It's you know, music, period.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you pass it, you can do, you know, it can do huge things. And, like, I've seen it myself without even knowing, you know, what I was doing. Like, it's healing. And that's the best part, when you realize, like, you know, when it all comes together like that, you know, then it can, you know, then the lifestyle of it can be really amazing. Just traveling the world and meeting people and all that. But there are also, like, hard sides to it. So, I mean, I love both of them. I accept both of them. But the most beautiful thing is what I described before. Like, that's just mind blowing every time.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about this post-COVID-19 world. When we do get to live music again and we get to perform, what do you hope both the musician and the audience realizes during this time about live music? Anything that they might come back refreshed about?
I hope people just, like, I'm thinking not just in music, in every part of life. The beautiful thing is that, like, when something is being taken away from you, you suddenly learn how to appreciate it even more. If you did, or even notice it, because sometimes you don't even notice what you have, and you don't, so you can't appreciate it. But when it's taken away from you, all of a sudden it's absent, and you're, wow, I'm really missing that. And so that's what I wish for all of us, to, like, reappreciate and when, you know, in the context of music, then to reappreciate live music. Reappreciate this thing that is, like, irreplaceable. Yeah.
Right on.
That can be a challenge, you know.
Yeah, it can be. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends,
Hello.
and your fans, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
Hello?
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, and your fans, but you're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
I'm just a guy that loves life, loves music, loves people, loves piano, loves my family, my girlfriend. Just you know, we are all made of love. I believe, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's true. And so it all comes down to that. I mean, who am I? Like, I'm just a person. I don't know.
Yeah,
in what sense? Like, in...
No, you just said it. No, that's it. I think sometimes there's a notion that answer's separated, like one is a human and one is otherwise, but it's all the same thing.
Absolutely.
Guy, thank you for taking a minute out today. It's a very strange time on the planet. This is my first real interview with someone from Israel, so it's great to hear from you. I hope you all do well. Stay safe. And
take good care.
You too, man.
Ciao.
Ciao
for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Israel, New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Guy for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, Enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.